Welcome back to the show. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm checking over here in the chat. I want to make sure you can hear me okay. I'm in a little bit of a different setup tonight, so I want to make sure that you can hear me okay. It doesn't sound weird. There's no strange mouth noises, anything like that. So hope you guys can hear me well. This is KJ's What Happened, covering the past week. There's a lot to go through tonight. A lot. It's going to be fun. There's some real gems in here. All right, so once again, let me check over here and see, can you guys hear me? Yes, you can. Sounds good. Thank you so much, guys. Well, hey, you know what? We got so much to get through tonight that I don't want to waste any time. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to get set up over here. Let's jump right in. Welcome once again. Thanks for being here. Hi, moderators. Thank you for being here as well. All right, guys. So before we do, let me give a shout out to Noble Gold. And this is a great sponsor for me, for real, because they've really been standing by me. So I do appreciate that. You know, in the past, I never looked for sponsors or needed sponsors, but these folks all came around at a good time, and I jumped on board, you know, and again, they've really been having my back. So if you're interested in any kind of investments, I hope you'll check these guys out. There's a link below, but here's a word from Noble Gold. So you may not know much about Holland, but it's one of the world's greatest trading nations and has been involved in commerce for hundreds of years. The Dutch National Bank holds over $20 billion worth of gold in its vaults, which are scattered around the world for safety. It's recently been buying more, and on its website says that gold always retains its value, crisis or no crisis. They're expecting trouble, big financial trouble, and you should too. Will your personal IRA accounts still hold their value in a financial meltdown? If you don't know the answer to this, you don't have ownership and control of your own retirement savings. This leaves you at the mercy of the markets, and that's not a great place to be when it all goes wrong. So many people got their financial hands burned in the last big downturn. If you expect to stay safe, you have to look to yourself and not put all your hopes in Washington or the Fed, especially not. So definitely, if you're interested, guys, click the link below. Just tell them the channel name, scariest movie ever, and I appreciate it. If not, hey, thanks anyway, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking out the show. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to jump right here in the middle somewhere. Here we go. This one is not a fun one to report, but it's definitely one of those things that many of us saw coming pretty quick once they opened up the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts just a few years ago to having, you know, gay leaders, gay leadership, and also opening it up to girls as well. They basically just kind of destroyed the whole system there with the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts, it seems. But now we have this story. Louisiana Boy Scouts leader charged with over 500 counts of possessing child porns. He's being charged with possessing over 500 counts of possessing that stuff, one of many instances of scout leaders being charged with sexual impropriety that has emerged in recent years. The Office of State Attorney General Jeff Landry released in an announcement that 49-year-old Randy Miller was arrested on Tuesday after an investigation discovered his alleged possession of this stuff. He's being held on a bond of $50 million. Okay, so yeah, they got something on him. Anyway, I don't want to read all that. I think we get it. But there you go. And, you know, I hate to say it, but, and I don't want to put this out there and, you know, make it happen. And it's not like The Secret or anything like that, but I'm just saying that, you know, I won't be surprised to see more of this kind of stuff, unfortunately. I did videos on this. It was a few years ago, and it was, you know, I believe even saying that it was an example of the beast system infiltrating everything, right? It really does. So there you have that. This one right here is pretty crazy. This is on CIA.gov. It's on the actual CIA website. And I just read recently that this was released just over the last year. And I didn't know anything about it, but apparently This is supposed to be proof that Hitler was alive and well in 1954. It says on September 1955, down here it says photostats of this picture were taken and are being forwarded. The photo was to be returned to its owner the following day. The person on the left is alleged to be the Citroen, and the person on the right is undoubtedly the person which Citroen claims as Hitler. The backside of the photograph contained the following data, and it says Columbia, 1954. So there's the picture. Interesting, huh? Look that up for yourself if you're interested. It's so interesting how a lot of this stuff just kind of comes out. You know, there's not a big to-do about it or anything. And, you know, if this is all, I mean, it's on the CIA site. I mean, again, I know it's the CIA, but still, it's interesting. Feminist freaks announce opening of Woman Parts Museum. I guess I can say that word, right? Woman Parts. Immediately get wrecked by other women. Whoa. These chicks got wrecked. It was a special invite-only party for those who qualified to celebrate the opening of the museum named after female genitalia. Oh, there's some of the imagery. Neat. Great news. Democrats now have, okay, it doesn't matter. Some more pictures. The Vagina Museum. There's a lot of ladies there. So a lot of ladies in the museum. Whoa, what's that? Anyway, there you go. It's the holiday season, so if you want to get out and do something a little bit different, perhaps pack up the kids in the minivan. We're going to the Woman Parts Museum. There you go. It's the same picture over and over. John Stossel. He does some pretty good reports. I've seen him throughout the years. I've liked a lot of his exposés. But this says he destroys the climate change myth in a terrific videos. So maybe we can watch just a little bit of this and see what all the hula blue is about. We'll watch just a little here.
On us. I keep hearing that we're killing the earth.
How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood.
But wait, I've been a consumer reporter for years. I've covered so many scares. Plague, famine, and perpetual war will kill us. We're going to run out of oil. Nuclear power will give us cancer. Killer bees swarm ever closer. Bird flu, flesh-eating bacteria. The list of terrible things that were going to get us is long. And yet we're living longer than ever. None of those scares turned out to be as frightening as the warnings. But I'm told global warming is different.
Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
The alarmists have evidence that supports their fears. Temperature is rising. The UN predicts that it'll rise another 2 to 5 degrees.
What do we do in the land we live on is under attack?
But does that justify the fear?
Climate change is not a lie, so please don't let our planet die.
Does it justify this claim?
We have 12 years to act.
We have 12 years.
We have 12 years before the effects are irreversible.
Really? 12 years?
It's warmed up around 1 degree Celsius since 1900, and life expectancy doubled the industrialized democracies, and yet that temperature ticks up another half a degree, and the entire system crashes. That's the most absurd belief.
I recently moderated this debate on climate change at the Heartland Institute. Well, not a debate, because the alarmists who were invited didn't show. Heartland invited many.
Please come over here and sit next to that place and let's have a discussion. There are a lot more people want to hear what you have to say.
Climate alarmists never agree to debate. We'd love to offer you the airtime. We will give it to you. I'll give you a special phone number that goes to this phone. I invited Al Gore on my show often, but he would never come.
In order to solve the climate crisis,
He makes a lot of speeches, but won't respond to people who disagree. It's too bad that the alarmists won't debate, because so much of what they say deserves debate.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
12 years.
Well, and in 12 years, it'll
11
be
and a
12
half.
more years.
David Legates is a professor of climatology at the University of Delaware. Pat Michaels is former president of the American Association of State Climatologists. Willie Soon is an astrophysicist.
It's all about harm waving. It's about emotion, about sending out kids in protest. We have nothing to do with the science.
This group pointed out that even if the planet warms by 5 degrees, humans can adjust. People in Holland did years ago.
They said, we're going to adapt to the fact that we're a low-lying country and we're going to build these dikes and we're going to build these pumps. Are you telling me that the people in Miami are so dumb that they're just going to sit there and drown?
You acknowledge, though, the water.
Anyway, that's all. I don't want to play the entire clip. It's like 6 minutes long, but you get the point. If you've never heard of John Stossel, you should look him up. He does some really good stuff, really good exposés. You set down my microphone. Scientists have developed artificial human skin that enables robots to feel and respond to physical contact. This really is one of the creepier things I've seen in quite a while. I mean, man, this stuff is happening so fast. The stuff with the robots, the transhumanism. It's interesting. It's crazy. It's super fast. Scientists and roboticists have been researching artificial skin since late 1970s and early 1980s. Sensitive synthetic skin enables robots to sense their own bodies and the environment. I mean, why do we need this? We don't need this. Do we really need this? Are we going to have to deal with walking into public restrooms and catching robots playing with themselves? I'm just saying. It happens with humans sometimes. It's not a pretty picture. I lived in New York City for a while. What can I say? And Los Angeles for a long time. Do we really need this, though? Do we need sensitive synthetic skin that enables robots to sense their own bodies and the environment around them? They say it's a crucial capability if they are to be in close contact with people. However, there is a serious obstacle in developing robot skin: computing capacity. Human skin has around 5 million receptors. Efforts to implement continuous processing of data from sensors and artificial skin soon run up against limits. Previous systems were quickly overloaded with data from just a few hundred sensors until now. A team of scientists and researchers at the Technical University of Munich has developed a system combining artificial skin with control algorithms and used it to create the first autonomous humanoid robot with full-body artificial skin. They developed a system combining artificial skin with new control algorithms. Algorithms, they just won't go away. We keep hearing more and more about the algorithms. What's really dangerous about them, and there's a lot dangerous about this, but with the algorithms and especially what they've done on YouTube, a lot of times you'll wonder, what kind of human could do this kind of stuff to all these people on YouTube? And so many people have been wiped out. I mean, a lot of this has been people's jobs, for many years on YouTube. Sometimes we forget about that, but that's a real thing. And a lot of people's lives have just been crushed. And you wonder, what kind of human could do this? And that's where these algorithms come in. That's where, setting the artificial intelligence loose on it. There's no more human emotion. It's like, we'll just set it for this and then release it and then, wash your hands of it. That's it. And then it's the algorithm. That's what did it, Anyway, that's pretty wild, huh? Weird. Black Friday, Walmart and Amazon selling a children's book of demons for kids and families who want to learn how to summon the devil. And this is, I guess, a real thing. I had seen this a few days back, or maybe about a week ago. I wasn't sure if it was a real thing. Anyway, turns out, I guess it is. Children's book of demons. It says a new book billed as a playful guide teaches children how to summon demons for personal benefit. It's carried by major booksellers too, such as Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target. And Amazon sells it as well, even though the lit Leviathan has banned a work critical of Islam and one geared toward the elimination of unwanted same-sex attraction. A new book billed as a playful guide teaches children how to summon demons for personal benefit. Wait, my bad, sorry. It's the same paragraph. There we go. Well done. Let's see, let's move on to the, here we go. Don't want to take out the trash tonight. Maybe you're swimming in homework. Perhaps this is all editorial stuff. I don't want to read all that. Anyway, there we go. It really is just, I'm hoping that people are fighting against this. You're going on Walmart online, perhaps, and bad reviews. That'd be a good start. This one's pretty crazy. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but this is about one of the cringiest things I've seen in a very, very long time. And I see a lot of cringe. I go through a lot of cringe day by day. This is definitely one of the cringiest. This is Joe Biden. I'm at it again. He doesn't know when to stop. Check this out.
I saw that made me aware when I was in law school. Proudly for Holloway. Proudly for your dad. First African American state senator in the state of Delaware. Everything about. And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun.
This
and
is
the
real.
kid used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair.
This is real. This really happened. I'm just going to play it back again here.
Got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun, and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I love kids jumping on my lap. And I tell you what, the man...
That last line.
Jumping on my lap. And I love kids jumping on my lap.
That kid's expression is just dead in the eyes. And I love kids jumping on my lap. Oof. Now think about this. Think about this. You know, he was the vice president in America for 8 years. And we know there's people behind all this that, you know, pull strings and whatnot. But as far as the public sees it, you know, this is essentially the second most powerful man in America. And in some respects, the world, or was, as vice president. Let that sink in for a little bit. This guy that we just watched was second in charge for 8 years. And if that doesn't show you how broken the system is and how rigged it is, in most cases, you know, 98% will say, well, at least for the last, maybe since JFK, I'm sure there was a lot of it in between there as well. But if that doesn't show you how broken the system is and how rigged it is, I could find better people to be vice president in my neighborhood. You know, you could too. Anyway. Here's a subject that a lot of people have asked me about. It's not something I've done a lot of looking into, but I get the basics of it. And this is Noahide Laws advertised in the United Nations. And this is from Israeli News Live. So let me see. I think he plays a clip here. Excuse me. Let me see. There he is. Okay, let's check this out.
But anyway, let's look at what's going on. Let's first take a listen to Rabbi Goldstein and this push for the 7 Noahide Laws.
This is the bedrock of any civilization that were to exist. And the Rebbe pleaded if only the United Nations will go back to the basics and empower their nation to adopt the 7 Noahide Laws, then this world would be a very different world, and perhaps we wouldn't have lost 150 million lives that we have lost in the last 200 years. So I ask every nation that's here, everyone that's listening, consider taking the 7 Noahide Laws back to the basics and apply it to real daily life, and we will see a world difference. Our children are our future.
Noahide laws. We have to apply the Noahide laws. What about the 66 million Christians in Russia that were murdered? But a lot of people try to say that was fake. None of that really happened. No, I guess I don't deny the fact that it happened, but because it isn't Jewish, it's not considered a Holocaust. That doesn't make sense, does it?
Anyway, there's just a little bit on that. If you want to look into that, you can. The Noahide laws, I don't know them off the top of my head. Like I said, I've seen them before. I've looked this stuff up before. I remember part of it is it calls for like a world court. A lot of it sounds very New World Order-ish or very totalitarian, if you will. So something you may want to check out. Looks like there's actually people at the UN pushing for it. So there you go. Just a little bit about that subject. New drug found to melt away heart-clogging fat with just one dose. Researchers from the University of Aberdeen claim that just a single dose of the new drug trotisquamine can completely reverse the effects of atherosclerosis. That's a buildup of fatty plaque inside arteries, which in turn can cause a number of different heart problems. In particular, it is the condition that causes heart attacks and strokes. All humans have some level of fatty streaks in their arteries, which develop further with age. It says these have only been tested at preclinical level in mice so far, but the results were quite impressive and show that just a single dose of this drug seemed to completely reverse the effects of atherosclerosis. Am I saying that right? Wow, that's crazy. It's wonderful though, huh? Let's get that on the market, please. Unless it's going to have tons of whack side effects, like so many of these drugs do. Like right now, you could probably just take it straight up. You know, most likely it's going to be great. But what if by the time it gets to market, they've added in all this other stuff so that, you know, you'll be pooping your pants and you'll be bleeding from your eyeballs and you may want to kill your family. You know, maybe it's a possibility, guys. You know, it's you get a 50-50 shot. You can either walk around with your arteries getting unclogged and be a lot healthier, or you're going to kill your family. One of the two. This one's really cool and weird. This is just some footage of a strange deep sea underwater creature. Some of you may have seen something like this before. Maybe this is a common thing. I've never seen anything like it. I just wanted to share it. Again, I'm not saying this is alien. I'm not saying it's a creature or a monster. Or, I don't know what it is, but let's just check this out here. Of something it looked like. Artistic freedom is not absolute. Court fines comedian $35,000. That's $35,000 for a joke that insulted a child's dignity. A Quebec judge has ordered comedian Mike Ward to pay a $35,000 fine to a disabled boy for joking about him in material Ward used from 2010 to 2013. That's scary right there, okay? I mean, I don't think it's ever cool to make fun of the handicapped in any way. But look at this, though. He did it, what, 6 years ago? 6, 7, 8 years ago? 9 years? Well, almost longer. Almost 10 years ago. Anyway, Ward 46 has pledged not to pay the fine and plans to appeal the decision to the Supreme Court of Canada. The court's decision brought a partial win to Ward by cutting a $7,000 fine Quebec's government ordered the comedian to pay to the boy's mother. Comedy is not a crime. In a free country, it shouldn't be up to a judge to decide what constitutes a joke on stage, Ward said in a Thursday statement. The people in attendance laughing already answered that question. I'm telling you right now, I would rather go to prison than pay even 1/10 of this stupid fine, he said. The Quebec Human Rights Tribunal fined award 42 grand in 2016 for telling a joke about Jeremy Gabriel, 22, who suffers a condition that results in facial deformities. Okay, so they gave him the fine back then. My bad. I thought it was just recently. So they gave him the $42,000 fine in 2016 for telling a joke about Jeremy Gabriel, 22, who suffers a condition that results in facial deformities and affects his hearing. The tribunal ordered Ward to pay $35,000 in damages to Gabriel and another $7 grand. Okay. Ward had joked critically about Gabriel's singing. Ward's material included several factual errors that Ward included for exaggeration. All right. There you have it. And that's the story. Just going to play a little bit of this. It's just another one of those purple skies. And we don't really have to hear the volume on this. This just happened November 26th. It's on Dooner Livingstone as the YouTube channel if you want to go watch the whole thing. I bring this up because I've covered the purple sky in a few videos, and I'm glad I did, because some people try to debunk it in the beginning, say it was just lights from a grow place or something. It was like lights for some kind of a plant place or whatever. And there were cases of that people would find where it was more like a yellow hinge or like kind of a weird light standing out in the sky. But that's not these things. These purple lights are being seen all over the world. There's a really interesting one. I think it was in India, and it literally just turned itself off at the very end. It just went click, almost like a switch turned it off, but it had been blinking in some clouds just over the ocean for a really long time. But anyway, it's still here, still manifesting a lot. I think I'm seeing a lot every week. I just don't show you these all the time because, I guess it's another one, but it's out there. It's really happening a lot. So I need to do a video soon on this. I haven't done a video on stuff in the sky lately, but there's been so much to show you. So we'll do that sometime. Anyway, there you go. So the purple lights, mysterious lights in the sky is still a thing, it seems. Here's another one. This just happened in Kansas, November 28th. It's on Fort Baller V1 YouTube channel if you want to go check that whole thing out. Let's check this out, though. More strange sky anomalies.
Today's Thanksgiving, and I'm at my cousin's house. And in their front lawn, in the distance, I don't know if you can see it very well, but there can be shown like a red flashing like light in the distance. And it is the creepiest thing. It flashes on, and I don't know what it is, and it's really creepy. I don't know what could be causing this. Like, we don't know. We don't think it's a fire because I don't think it would like flash off the clouds like that. But I have literally no clue what it is. And I'm looking in the video right now, and it doesn't look like very reddish, but it's like a red orange, like a kind of like a light orange, and it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's so creepy. I'm actually like, I don't know what to think of this. Just look at that. It's so weird. Like, what could this be? Tell me in the comments what this could be, please.
And I only show that one because I've seen a lot of those too. Again, that's why I say I'm going to do a compilation sometime. And, yes, that's why I like to do a compilation when I do these, because I can cut through all these where I think, this might be, maybe it's a shopping center, maybe it's a concert. You got to try to work a lot of things out. Sometimes you contact these people, just email them or leave them a message under the video and just ask a few questions. Have you ever seen anything in that area before? Is there anything like a stadium over there, or is that like downtown, anything like that? This one's really cool too. This just happened November 20th, 2019. Joanne Rhodes, Rhodes YouTube channel if you want to check this out. I'll play some. It's just a weird cloud anomaly above this lady's house. That's so weird. You guys ever seen anything like that? I've never seen a cloud like that. Strange, huh? Just sitting there right above the house. That's not that high up in the sky. It's right there above the roof, it looks like. Weird, huh? Calvary Chapel pastor's daughter preaches about her rear end. I haven't heard it referred to that in a long time, but that's like a real pleasant way of saying it. That's nice. It's the rear end. Anyway, this pastor's daughter is preaching about her rear end, and she's bragging from the pulpit about what God gave her, quote unquote, it says. Let's see what this lady has to say about her rear end.
Through this book, you will know that I love me some Boaz. And I prayed as a single woman, Lord Jesus, give me a Boaz, God. Give me a Boaz. He didn't give me a Boaz. He got me a fine ass, okay? Not a broke ass, okay? Okay, don't talk to me afterwards about, Lord Jesus, give me a Boaz, God. Give me a Boaz. He didn't give me a Boaz. He got me a fine ass, okay?
Gross.
Me a fine ass, okay? Not a broke ass, okay? Okay, don't talk to me afterwards about saying that because my mama's sitting here. She's already giving me the stink eye, okay?
Oof. Yeah. Oof. Michael Moore, Stooge, Shield, bunch of other bad stuff. But I just thought this is funny. I'm not even going to read anything. Just the headline, Trump was right about rigged system. Duh. Again, this is interesting how everything is coming out and manifesting. Many of us that are here together right now, many of you that are going to watch this later, we've known that this system's rigged for a very long time, years and years and years. Some of you for much longer than the rest of us, so it's been out there. Of course, it's one of these things that's been hidden, for a long time, but everything's coming out. And it's just funny to see it spilling out of the mouth of a guy like Michael Moore, a stooge like Michael Moore, saying Trump was right about the rigged system. And I know that he's not maybe talking about the same kind of rigged system we are, where everything's really controlled by the shadow controllers, we'll say, the pyramid system of secret societies. But still, I just want to throw that out there. Disentanglement Act, the means to put an end to guys competing in women's sports, drag queen story time, etc. This should be interesting. While many are complaining about the fact that publicly funded libraries are allowed sexual deviants and criminals to read to little children, and others are complaining about the LGBTQ agenda being forced on the American people, including by allowing what are clearly males to compete in female sports simply because they say they are female, some are looking to fight back and to use the law to stop the attack on the culture, the family, nature, and normality. That was a long sentence. Those were all commas there. The weapon of choice, it's called the Disentanglement Act. A gentleman by the name of Chris Xavier, did I say that right, has put this together for those willing to take the fight to the enemy. He writes, below is a copy of the Disentanglement Act custom designed for all 50 states. If you want to see the end of guys competing in women's sports, drag queen story time, etc., then I encourage you to take the link of the bill for your state and press your state representative and senator to introduce and enact this measure that weaponizes the United States Constitution's Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. Wow, so there you have it. And here's all the links. So here's what you do. This is on, if you're interested in this is on dcclothesline.com. And Disentanglement Act is the first word in the title there. So you can put those together, find those links, find your state, and if you're interested, do this. Why not? This is good. It's good to fight back, of course, and always, never with violence, right? Never with violence. But it's always good to fight back in ways like this. It's not hard to do. It's not going to take us long to do this, to click on your state and then, send a link or call your congressman or send an email or whatever it is, but why not? So if you want to get involved here, I think this is a good thing to get involved with. dcclothesline.com, Disentanglement Act. You can find all the links down there at the bottom, okay? if you're interested. I'm not telling you what to do. I've never told you when to be home. I've never told you what to wear. I've been good to you. Sometimes you forget these things. Facebook suspends pastor for mild objection to transgender athlete. Oof. I'm guessing it's the one in the middle. Hate speech, it's rampant, according to radical progressives and big tech. It's getting to the point that if you say anything, even factual observations about that community in general and transgenderism in particular, you run the risk of being purged, silenced, or censored. This week, Pastor Ken Peters from the church at PP, Planned You Know What, in Washington experienced this for himself on Facebook when he made what can only be considered a mild objection to an Australian transgender athlete who poses a real danger to the actual females with which she plays. And then that happened. Womp, womp, womp. Referring to the image above, Peters pointed out, number 6 is a guy who thinks he's a girl, kind of an advantage in sports. The earth is better when we follow the Bible. Hannah Mounsey is 6'2" and weighs 220 pounds. Jeepers. Hannah would give me a fight. That would be rough. And then I'd get in trouble for beating up a woman. As an Australian, not that I don't know if I'd win. Guys, I don't know. Okay? I hope it never happens. Look at that. Hannah's big. Tree trunks for legs. I'm not trying to be a tough guy here, so, I don't know. I'm starting to have some second thoughts about this, about me fighting Hannah. It's contact sport, and while it may not be hockey or rugby, the players do get physical as they vie for the ball. Even Mounsey's hands are a huge advantage. The sport is played by holding a medium-sized ball in the hand and throwing it into a goal. This is nothing but the left doing its best to force us to accept that agenda as the new normal, Peters said. If one states the Bible is the right viewpoint on gender and righteousness, it's considered derogatory. And that's true these days, isn't it? The way that it's censored in that respect. His suspension definitely prompts the question of whether he was suspended for saying a guy who thinks he is a girl, or if his invocation of a biblical worldview was the real strike against his post. Hannah, formerly Callum, is a biological male who suffers from gender dysphoria. Scientifically, he's a guy who thinks he's a girl, but in our left-dominated society that is growing more progressive every day, speaking the truth is anathema when it happens to pertain to transgenderism. Invoking the Bible was likely just the cherry on top for a triggered Facebook moderator. All right, there you go. That happened. Oof. But all kidding aside, man, seriously, how uncool is this, that this kind of stuff is happening? Beyond uncool. I don't have children myself that I'm aware of, but I'll tell you, if I had a daughter and she was on a team and there's a boy that size that was going to be practicing with her and, just being on the team in general, I have a huge problem with that. Huge problem with that. Maybe not even so much maybe they're not as worried being on his team, but it's the other teams. I guess that's what I'm more concerned about at this point. It's the other girls this team's going to be playing against. I mean, if I was a parent of those kids, I'd be really freaking out. Can you imagine? Imagine, if you will, being a teenage girl and then looking up and seeing Hannah coming stomping your way. I don't know, man. Honk, honk, I guess. That's what they say, right? Honk, honk. Honk, honk. Honk, honk. Woman who regrets becoming a transgender male 17 years ago says medical professionals should not have helped her to transition and claims lots of other transgender people are hiding their regrets. I want to say something here real quick, too. This just hit me. I need to put this out there, too. I actually had a transgender. They claim to be a transgender. I have no reason to doubt them. But they emailed me this week. And her name is Tabitha. I believe his name is Tabitha. And left a really long message. And I read the whole thing. I sent a response. Even said I was really glad they'd contacted me. because this has always been an issue that, I've gotten into here on the channel at times, and it can be a little complicated. I hate pointing out the sin on people. That's not what I do. However, homosexuality is a big part of this system that's coming in. It's obvious. And I do call it the Baphomet system and all this, because that's literally what's happening. It's manifesting through people now, even the young ones, the little ones, the children. So that's how I see this. But I don't hate these people. I pray for them. I also try to understand them, because I have my own things we have to deal with. We all do. We have our own sins, if you will, places where we're weak. And the only difference is, though, and this is where it gets a little dangerous, but, the big difference is with the homosexuality is that there is an extra part to that, then that's the reprobate mind. You don't hear that about all the other sins, but with homosexuality, the Lord says that they'll be turned over to a reprobate mind. And what that means is that you're fully turned over to your lusts, and it engulfs you. You're just completely driven by your lusts, turned over to a reprobate mind. Your heart is hardened, right? And so that's the danger. So it's like you want to get that out there, but you also want to be respectful and say, look, I'm a sinner too. I've done bad things, still do bad things. I've also repented from things. I'll say that. It's been a struggle and a battle, and that's what life is, So we work through things, right? So you want to be understanding. You don't want them to turn away. God loves them too. Jesus loves them too. Yes, we're forgiven through Christ. I believe all this. Don't let them. I don't want gay people to start convincing themselves that God hates them. I've seen that through friends that were gay and the people they were with. A lot of families out there that just turn these people away, never want to see them again, deal with them again. It's tragic. It really is. And typically they're very religious families that are doing this to the kids, I've found. So anyway, there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and keep moving on. Systemic feminization. Men's Mag runs tutorial on how men should wear makeup. Yeah. Yes, more of that. Tyranny alert. Virginia to outlaw Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, Tai Chi, firearms instruction, and self-defense training under proposed law. State of Virginia, now entirely run by insane Democrats who support infanticide and child murder, is proposing a new 2020 law known as SB 64, which will be taken up by the Democrat-run Senate beginning January 8th, 2020. The law would instantly transform all martial arts instructors into criminal felons. This includes instructors who teach kickboxing, Krav Maga boxing, and even Capoeira, whatever that is, and BJJ. It would also criminalize all firearms training classes, including concealed carry. It would even criminalize a father teaching his own son how to use a hunting rifle. Specifically, the law says that a person is guilty of unlawful paramilitary activity, if that person, quote, assembles with one or more persons for the purpose of training with, practicing with, or being instructed in the use of any firearm, explosive, or incendiary device or technique capable of causing injury or death to persons. Unquote. It's kind of scary. The phrase technique capable of causing injury or death to persons covers all forms of martial arts and self-defense training. Under the proposed law, all forms of self-defense training, including hand-to-hand martial arts training, would be considered paramilitary activity, even if the training consists of private classes involving just one instructor, and one student. It's because every form of martial arts training imparts skills which could be used to cause injury to other persons. Wow. Look that up. SB 64. Virginia. SB 64. If you're in Virginia, you should probably know about that. SB 64. Look it up. Spanish statues found vandalized on Thanksgiving. It's more of this. It's a destruction of the history, right? To make way for something new. See that in most every dystopian movie you've seen in almost every dystopian novel. San Francisco police and park rangers are investigating the vandalism of 2 Spanish statues around Lake Merced in San Francisco. Red paint and the words colonizer and this is stolen land were found covering the art pieces that depict Spanish explorer Captain Juan Bautista and Carlos III of Spain. The discovery was made Thanksgiving Day, police said. The statues are located at the end of 2 parking lots surrounding the lake. Longtime residents said in the 20 years they've been in the area, they've never seen anything like this. I think it's uncalled for. We're not here to destroy the statue and the land. We all have our personal feelings, but this is not the way to express your feelings, Barbara Johnson said. Thanks, Barbara. There it is. Wow, this is stolen land. Okay. There you go. There's your story. This is more just kind of like a headline thing I want to show. Facebook ramps up attacks on conservative content, is now deleting First Lady Melania Trump photos, calls them hate speech. Wow. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Photos of what people are supposed to look like in 2100. This is on Viral Mag. All right. And I'll explain here in a moment. We'll see. This is from a few months back, but I just stumbled on this recently and thought I'd share it with you. Have you guys ever seen anything like this before? So let's check this out. Scientists have discovered how people will look in 2100, it says. I guess that's the back. It's kind of Neanderthal looking. The company has created a 3D model of a future human based on some of these scientific predictions, and the result is truly horrifying. Dubbed Mindy, the human of 2100 has a hunched back caused by hours of sitting in front of a computer monitor at the office and craning her neck to look at smartphones. The way we hold our phones can cause strain in certain points of contact, causing text claw and 90-degree elbow, also known as the cubital tunnel syndrome. This syndrome is caused by pressure or the stretching of the ulnar nerve, which runs in a groove on the inner side of the elbow. Ooh, look at that. That's the noise it would make, it seems. Wow. This causes numbness or a tingling sensation in the ring and little fingers, forearm pain, and weakness in the hands, keeping the elbow bent for a long time. Oof, here she is. Hi, Mindy. You come around here often? Mindy's final physical change is possibly her most outlandish. She has a second set of eyelids to filter out excessive light emitted from technology devices. That is some crazy stuff. Did you hear that? This is what they believe humans will evolve into. Mindy's final physical change is possibly her most outlandish. She has a second set of eyelids to filter out excessive light emitted from technology devices. There she is. Right swipe or left swipe? CDC birth rates lowest in 3 decades. It's from December 3rd, 2019. Birth rates in the U.S. fell 2% in 2018 to nearly 4 million, the lowest in 3 decades, according to data released Tuesday by the Centers for Disease Control. The rates declined for women aged 20 to 34 and increased for women aged 35 to 44. In total, 3,790-something thousand births were registered in 2018, or 1,729 births per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44. The number marks the lowest number of births in 32 years. Interesting, eh? Depopulation's all a part of the agenda anyway. And they've definitely been hammering us down the last 50 years with their agenda as the beast slowly manifested before our very eyes, right? Its tentacles got its hands into every element of our lives, our health, to our entertainment. But depopulation's a big part of it. That also goes back to the major promotion of the LGBTQ community and lifestyle. That's another big part of it as well. Depopulation. Well, this is fun. This is a young man, millennial. It's a young man who can't figure out how to use a can opener. And this is a real deal. This actually wound up going viral. I watched it when it didn't have this many views. It says 5.1 million views now. So check this out.
Are you gonna help me? Nope. Just filming this whole thing.
All of these cans are to be open?
Except the green beans.
How?
Everything that I put over here, all of these cans need to be open.
David.
Can you still look when you're done eating? No.
Can you imagine if we were really living in The Walking Dead, like zombies really did start popping up and just killing everybody? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how a lot of these young'uns are going to survive. I'm not saying that's something we have to be worried about, but you never know. The Hallmark Channel's under fire because it's far too white and far too Christmassy during the holiday season. According to the entertainment staple, the network, this is from a Hollywood Reporter. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the network's been severely lacking in diversity, not only racially, but with regard to religion. As reported by THR, Hallmark is only offering 4 Christmas movies in 2019 featuring black actors or actresses as leads. Furthermore, it spotlighted virtually no other religions than Judaism and Christianity. Not to get into that whole thing, because I am with, as much as we see this race war, if you will, being manufactured and created before our very eyes, and all of us being set apart from each other and turning against each other, that's what that's what the system wants. That's why, again, I'm not a preacher, but I do try to talk about Christ, from time to time in my videos and my shows, because that's the anchor that pulls us all together. That's under God, we can all stay together, regardless of your color or whatever else. We can all be together in that, brothers and sisters in Christ. But this world just seeks to divide us, and we continue seeing that. But even with all that, I mean, it's obvious there's, the system has particularly been going after the black community for a long time. And I'm thinking about Margaret Sanger, that comes to mind first off. And we know things aren't equal, in so many ways. But it's interesting. It makes me think back about something. When I first graduated, I moved out almost immediately. It's not like I was leaving a bad situation. I really had a good situation, but I've always been a kind of a free bird, even back then. In fact, I used to sneak out all the time too anyway, so I was always out, doing something. But so I moved out into a place maybe 25 minutes away from my parents. And I moved in with my best friend at the time from high school. I'll have to tell you guys, we'll do a story time sometime, because this could be a story time situation, but it'd take a really long time to tell you this. But what that guy was, and it got worse when we moved in, to an apartment, it was like that movie Single White Female. Have you ever seen that movie? And this happened before that movie ever came out. Think of any one of these movies about somebody that gets obsessed with somebody else and starts trying to dress like them, talk like them. He started telling my stories, like my real life stories. We'd be at a party. I'd walk around a corner. I'd see him talking to a girl. He'd be telling her a real life story that happened to me, but like as if it happened to him. I mean, that's just some examples, guys. It got really, 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 really crazy. So I'll tell you the whole story sometime, man. That'd be a long one. We'll just do a hangout some night, okay? Just a good hangout, and just hang out, and I'll tell you some really crazy stories from back then, because a lot of just had some weird encounters too. I was working at a graveyard shift at a Love's Country store in Oklahoma, and the one I was on or working at, was surrounded by nothing but wheat fields. So I got all kinds of just kind of rando, crazy characters in there for a couple of years. That's a whole other thing too. But anywho, with this, what I was thinking of is, so I eventually moved out from that place and got my own place. And when I got my own place, I remember watching, like when I'd first moved in to my own place, I was watching 2020 or one of those shows. And on the show, it had Chuck D from Public Enemy. Have you ever heard of Public Enemy? Most of you probably have. Public Enemy, Chuck D. And he's talking about how the black community has been targeted and all this other stuff. And he started talking about, he was making good points about how you could follow advertisers back then and see who's advertising in the black communities. And it was all stuff that's bad for you, everything. And at one point he was talking about Old English. It's a drink. I think you can still buy it at the stores. It's like a malt liquor, Old English. And he said that he believed that the white man had spiked it with something to make black people go crazy. And I was younger back then, but, you know, I first moved into my new place. I remember seeing that story, and I immediately went to the store and bought like 4 huge bottles of Old English. I used to be much more about kind of breaking on through to the other side. Let's just say that, okay? So I got these 4 big bottles of Old English because I was like, I got to try this. You know, I wonder if the white man magic is going to work on me. You know, I don't know. But anyway, I did get pretty trashed on them, and that's about it. So there you go. This is just kind of a little observation. No one knows what Devil Patrick is doing here. Devil. This is some dude that's Obama has been pushing lately. There may be some pictures of him with Obama down here. Anyway, Obama has been really promoting this guy, and I was hoping there'd be most of the stories I was seeing. Here it says down here, his relationship with Obama dates back to the 1990s. When the two were introduced by a mutual friend and Obama was running for the state senate in Illinois. That was probably back in the days of the bathhouse. I'm just saying it may have been, right? So anyway, makes me wonder if he knew Bathhouse Barry, you know, if you will. But beyond all that, I just think it's interesting because we know, most of you here that are watching this, we know there's enough evidence. And if you don't know, you can look this stuff up and just, you know, research this. There's enough stuff surrounding Obama, not just the symbols, but just things he's done. And again, a lot of us have covered this. I've done a lot of videos in the past on Obama that shows us that if he's not the actual Antichrist, he has an Antichrist spirit about him. And the Antichrist spirit's been in a lot of people throughout the centuries, right? We've seen there are many Antichrists. So we know that. I believe that. I know that. We know that. But is he the one? You know, a lot of people, hey, I'm open to it. You know, I've covered some of that stuff as well. I see the possibilities. But I don't want to get stuck on just one thing because you never know. Whatever this Antichrist might be, he may come in the form of exactly what Jesus looks like, that what we've been shown, which isn't what he really looks like. Right? What if somebody like that shows up? In fact, I've got a story about that coming up in a little bit. But before we get to that, I just thought it was interesting. What if Obama really is the actual Antichrist? And then this has been a story with him pushing Devil Patrick as a Democratic nominee for president, just because his name sounds like devil. I know. On that one, I'm probably just being loopy, right? But I mean, is he really that snide and sneaky and snarky, you know, to where he may even play a little something like that with people? You would think that'd be something devilish that the devil would do. He's done weird stuff like that in the past. All those pictures with him having horns perfectly placed behind his head. I mean, I think a lot of that stuff, you know, are signs, but then it seems like he would play with some of this stuff too. You know, he'd mentioned before that he wasn't the Antichrist, and people think he's the devil. Did you ever see that footage? It was in West Hollywood, I think. Obama was in West Hollywood at some fundraising thing. And it was a pretty crowded room, and some guy started screaming, "You're the Antichrist! You're the Antichrist!" Did you ever see that? And Obama's look was just sent a chill down my spine when I first saw it. I was like, "Leave!" Hey, that's just me. I don't know. You know, maybe it's not him. Maybe it is. Maybe this was a little wink and a nod. Who knows? Maybe that's just some weird road we just took that really went nowhere, but we had a good time, right? Teacher of the Year, Randy Chaveria, allegedly gave students a, you know what job in the classroom. And just another one of these examples. This is Teacher of the Year. There she is with her husband. It's wonderful. Teacher of the Year. And gets caught doing that with a kid. But whenever I see these stories, and it's almost always a very attractive young lady, you know, to me, it's the Jezebel spirit. Every time I see it, I feel like I'm seeing another person that got took over by the Jezebel spirit, that listened to the Jezebel spirit, that was led by that, you know. Narcissism is an element of that. It's a big part of it, I feel, when I see that stuff, because imagine, for the guys out there, imagine, you know, when you're 12, 13 years old, just learning about girls, and it's all you could think about, and you're basically just a walking erection for like 4 years, you know, for some of us, I'm just saying, you know, not to be lewd, okay, but that's what it is, you know. And then you've got this teacher. You already kind of look up to your teachers as a kid, you know, as some kind of a godlike figure, even like a secondary parent or something. And you got these teachers, and they're very pretty, and they're showing you a lot of attention. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, man. That's dynamite. It's dynamite. And then for the woman, they get to be worshipped by this kid, because the kid will. I'm sure they do. That's what they do. You know, they're getting sex from this person and attention from this older, interesting, mature person. And it's just, you know, they're just sitting there taking in that energy, you know, even beyond just the sex. You know, it's like self-worship, or seeing somebody worship them, you know. Meanwhile, this is taking place. This is Jesuit order doesn't even try to mask their ritual abuse in the Middle East. I've never seen a baby get baptized like that. Is that the thing? You guys ever heard of that before? Anyway, I don't even know what we were just looking at. I just know it was crazy. USA Today best-selling author Jennifer Janes, who penned thrillers exposing the murderous vaccine deep state, found shot to death. Jennifer Janes, USA Today best-selling author of Malice and other novels exposing the vaccine deep state, was found shot to death on Monday, November 25th. James was a celebrated author whose books achieved USA Today bestseller status. Her novels showcased the criminality, child abuse, and deep-rooted fraud of the vaccine industry. She also wrote children's books that focused on teaching children the importance of consuming nutritious foods. Her most recent book, Malice, explores the medical ethics battle of a character named Dr. Daniel Winters, who tries to expose a dangerous vaccine that the medical establishment knows is harming and killing children. Her thriller Malice is also available as an audiobook on Audible. Okay. James was reportedly found with 2 gunshots to the head, according to amarketnews.com. Not 1, but 2. The death was reportedly ruled a suicide, which begs the question of how a person can shoot themselves in the head twice. This reminds me of the Vince Foster case. Wasn't his twice, or maybe it was just, I think it was 2. Many of her fans suspect Janes may have been murdered by the vaccine industry, which has a long history of advocating criminal fraud, bribery, and kickbacks, outlandish medical experiments on human children, coordinated science fraud, and other heinous crimes. There you go. Jennifer Janes, fallen warrior. Fallen warrior. Google's totally creepy, totally legal health data harvesting. The summer after college, I moved back. Wait a second. Is this going to be some long editorial thing? I don't think I want to read all this. But anyway, Google is getting into health data harvesting, and there's a name for it. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Oh, well. Sorry, guys. This looks like a boring report on this. I thought I'd pulled something better up on this story here, but Google getting into... we just saw a story last week. Google wants to get into banking, and now we see this week. Now they're getting into collecting our health information. I'll get a better story on that next time. This looks like a long editorial. When I got home from college... Oh, boy. Here we go. All right. Jeffrey Epstein's longtime banker, found dead from hanging, immediately ruled a suicide. It's another one, huh? Corporate banker Thomas Bowers, who ran the U.S. division of private wealth management for Deutsche Bank, reportedly committed suicide last month at the age of 55 by hanging himself with a rope in his California residence. However, his extensive ties to deceased sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, who also died from a mysterious suicide, has caused speculation about what the real cause of his death may be. All right. Deutsche Bank exec Thomas Bowers, who allegedly approved Donald Trump loans, reportedly died by suicide. That was the connection there with that. So now we have this. Now we have like another one of these mysterious suicides. Or is it? Starting in the late 1990s, at a time when most banks would not lend him money, Donald Trump found a financial lifeline in the German-based Deutsche Bank, which loaned him $1 billion, it says. I don't want to read all this either. Is that bad of me? I'm sorry. Anyway, we get the gist. This is, I guess, kind of a doom break. Maybe we can have some fun with this. I don't know, but I just found out about this recently. It's called Cameo.com. And it's, I guess this is where a lot of the kind of C-listers and D-listers from Hollywood go, and they still, make money. And there's Debbie Gibson, there's Chris Hansen, who else we got? Michael Rappaport, Gilbert Gottfried. You see what you see the price up there in the top right-hand corner. We'll jump into one of these and we'll find one. And I think you can play some examples for free. Let's see. Andy Dick, $99. Let's see what he does. There's some free ones. Yeah, I guess these are examples of, so you pay these people $100 and they'll send somebody a message for you. And I guess these are some of the messages they've sent to people.
You're destined to be a stay-at-home dad, and that would be the best case scenario. I did it!
Actually, I probably should be careful of that song playing in the background, but let's just keep going here. Anybody else? Anybody seem interesting? Snoop Dogg's charging $750. Dr. Drew. Anyway, I won't play anymore because you just don't know what these are going to be, and even are going to be any good or not. I just thought this was really kind of a weird thing, but I guess, hey, that's great. I mean, it's another source of revenue for people, sure. And it could be kind of fun. A lot of these are around $100. I guess if you had the money, this might be kind of something funny to send somebody, because you get to write the message. You get to tell them what you want to say to whoever. So you can pay these celebrities Gary Busey, $350. I might, who knows? That's a lot of money though. But if it was only $100, I know somebody I'd send to Gary Busey too. Let's see how good. It's really good.
This is Gary Busey on behalf of your best friend Joe. Joe's getting married, and a marriage groom has a best man. Nobody can do this better than you, and I am demanding that you become his best man, or you will suffer from it. I don't know how, and maybe not, but be his best man. That's what best friends do. That's what people do who love each other and want to help them in a beautiful ceremony of getting married. Now, if you don't be the best man, I'm going to fart in your champagne. And by the way, the word fart, F-A-R-T, that stands for feeling erectile transmission. This is just great. Fart is funny. Farting is, everybody does it. And that'll keep you sober. When you're farting, you're sober. And the word sober, the Buseyism for sober, S-O-B-E-R, is son of a bitch. Everything's real. You're his best man. That's the way it's going to be. Over and out.
Yeah, man. I would say that would be worth $100 if you had the extra money laying around and you knew somebody who would appreciate something kind of weird like that. I'm just going to, hey, you know what? Let's just play around for a little bit. You guys in a hurry or anything? No one's in a hurry, right? Like, this is kind of our doom break for the night, I guess. There might be a couple other, I don't know, man. Sometimes there's so many stories, it's hard to keep up. I was hoping Tim and Eric might be in there. You heard of Tim and Eric? TimandEric.com. Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job. No, they're not in there. Okay, let's go back and look at some more people real quick and see. Anybody of interest? Jeff Ross, he's charging $300. Dude's got a sharp tongue. He's always doing those roasts. So I bet he's probably got some pretty wild ones here. Let's see.
Yo, Kim Jong Grant. Happy bachelor party. I hope you have fun in Tahoe. Who the fuck has a bachelor party in Tahoe? What, was Vegas all booked? I guess that's where FBI agents go to get out of the way of the prying eyes of the rest of the world. They go to fucking Tahoe, where the most dangerous controlled substance is fucking mayonnaise. Are you really afraid of mayonnaise?
Yeah, that wasn't good. Too foul too, really. I mean, I'm not perfect over here. I definitely drop some bad words sometimes, but I just don't like hearing it over and over and over with stuff like that. You know what I mean? Let's see what else. Anybody else? Nah, let's just go ahead and move on. Anyway, here's something you could probably get on if you're bored and just be on there for hours and just looking up some of these random celebrities and watching some of these messages. Singapore televangelist Joseph Prince's church bought a mall for almost $300 million. Televangelist, man. The charismatic televangelist, whose new creation church in Singapore is one of the largest mega churches in the world, is purchasing the Star Vista, a shopping mall worth nearly $300 million, according to reports. The purchase will be made via New Creation Church's business arm. Wow, look at that. When do these pastors, though, for real, like these guys that get all this money, when they start just giving it back to the people? I saw a local news story earlier. I was trying to look it up, but I guess I just kind of got sidetracked and didn't follow through. I should have. It's a good story, but there's a pastor in some church, maybe it was in the Midwest out here, but they wound up raising a bunch of money for people's medical debt. They worked with a company that helped them out, and they raised enough money to just wipe out like everyone in their congregation's medical debt. It's pretty amazing. So, stuff like that. I'd like to see some of these big pastors start doing more stuff like that for the community and really trying to give back and actually following the ways of Christ, right? Because that's not following the ways of Christ right there. Building these empires on this earth that's just, it's all temporary. Man killed by his own gun booby trap at Maine home. Officers in Van Buren, Maine were called to reports of a man being shot in the early evening of Thursday. The victim had called 911 and reported he had been hit by a weapon. A dispatched police patrol and accompanying paramedics found the man injured in his home. After carrying out an investigation, they found that the front door of the house had been fitted with a device that shot a handgun at anyone attempting to open the door. It's like something out of the movies. Other devices were also discovered, prompting the officers to call the bomb squad. The Maine State Police and Van Buren Police Department investigators concluded he had been shot as a result of one of his own homemade devices, unintentionally discharging. Wow. Mom gives birth to rare conjoined twins with 3 arms and shared organs. Another one of these stories, but a lot of these out lately too. Wild. This is a nice one. Dog and rescued giraffe become best friends. Aww. Oh, wait. Sky News, the copyright stuff. The copyright claim. So that means all we get to do is look at the little picture. Anyway, that was a nice story. Moving on. Plane passengers rage enough is enough after horse spotted in economy. Some plane passengers can be a nightmare to share a journey with, from a man who wedged his socks in the window shutter to the woman who dried her knickers using the overhead air vent. The latest bizarre photo from on board a flight has left people shocked for a different reason altogether, leading to some saying things were getting out of hand. The snap appears to show a miniature horse in the economy cabin of an American plane standing in front of 2 seated passengers. It was shared on the popular passenger shaming Instagram page with the caption, "This is a legitimate, highly trained service animal used for the blind, etc. It is not an emotional support animal. They aren't one and the same, just an FYI." Passenger shaming Instagram? This sounds like something I could be interested in. I'll put that over to the side there. Wow, look at that. Aww. Completely ignoring the message that the horse was not an emotional support animal, one user raged, "This support animal thing is truly getting out of hand. What happened to dogs and cats? I'll be darned if I am going to pay the prices they are now charging to fly, only to be sitting next to a freaking pony. Mind you, I love horses, but enough is enough." Another said, "If you need to have a miniature horse by your side in order to fly on a commercial airline, perhaps another mode of travel will better suit you. Not to mention the rest of the community of people your needs impact." Agreed. Yeah, that's just like, yeah, this emotional support animal sham, I mean, in some cases, especially with PTSD and returning veterans, it's fantastic. I've seen a lot of stuff online of these real programs have been out there and really helping these people. But then, we see the sham side where a lot of people are running around just trying to get their dogs and cats on planes and out in public with them because they say they're emotional support animals. There was an expose a while back I did showed on one of these shows, and it was probably a Stossel report about, there's a lot of sham companies out there that you just pay a little bit of money and they'll set you up with what looks like official paperwork, and you can walk your animal around out there like it's your emotional support animal or something, right? And yes, this culture has become very snowflakey, of course, as well. This wicked system, this New World Order system, has definitely dumbed down the populace, made everyone victims. Not everyone, but you know what I'm saying. I'm speaking of the masses. So yeah, so we also see it connecting with some of this as well. People, I need my kitty at all times. I need Chubbs with me everywhere, So, man, it's like the ADHD thing. It makes me think about that too, how much of a sham that is. I've covered that in some videos. We've seen some stories on here. But it's so easy to say, I've got ADHD. Give me Adderall. Adderall is like the most intense, my experience in the past was, and I in the past experienced most drugs, but Adderall is like the most intense cocaine experience but it lasts for like, I don't know, 6 to 10 hours or something. But it's always there. It's crazy. I mean, we used it in college. When I was in college, everybody I knew was doing it. So we do it during school, and we do it on the weekends, play poker all weekend, and, you know. Oh, this is the passenger shaming right here. Anyway, it's called passenger shaming on Instagram. World's first human composting facility is coming to Seattle in 2021. And as far as I can tell, this is not a joke. I've been waiting to see this. We've done some stories in the past about these companies talking about this, and I guess we're getting pretty close to them actually going public. Here's some of the imagery. It does look like something creepy out of the future dystopian movie. Look at the pyramids up at the top there. It's crazy. You could see this in a freaky future movie, you know, that this is what they're going to do with humans. They're going to return them to the soil. Let's read. In a move hailed as a positive step by environmentalists, Washington became the first U.S. state to legalize the composting of human bodies just in May of this year. And now the evergreen state will become home to the world's first human composting facility in 2021. Wow. Thanks to Katrina Spade, founder and CEO of Recompost, after the legislation she helped enact goes into effect in May 2020. According to its website, Spade founded the revolutionary company with the goal of offering natural organic reduction to the public, a system that converts human remains into soil as an alternative to cremation or burial. Man, Soylent Green, man, this is right up our alley. Again, I've put this out. I think when I first saw the stories about this, I put it in some videos again that look how this is, you know, mirroring our movies, the programming. But this is it. It's not just Soylent Green. That this cannibalism shows up in a lot of these movies about the future, you know. The website says, by converting human remains into soil, we minimize waste, avoid polluting groundwater with embalming fluid, and prevent the emissions of CO2 from cremation and from the manufacturing of caskets, headstones, and grave liners. By allowing organic processes to transform our bodies and those of our loved ones into a useful soil amendment, we help to strengthen our relationship to the natural cycles while enriching the earth. In November, around 75 people attended what was described by the Seattle Times as a housewarming party for a funeral home where bodies would not be burned or buried, but laid in individual vessels to become clean, usable compost. I mean, this is, guys, if this is not the rituals manifesting, you know, this is ancient times. Everything's cyclical. Back in these times again. Midsummer, the movie, you know, all of this. Spade told the crowd made up of investors, doctors, architects, funeral directors, legislators, and lawyers, you are all members of the death care revolution. When all is said and done, the process will yield about a cubic yard of soil per person. The soil can be taken home by friends or family and used to grow a tree or garden. Remaining soil will be used on 640 acres of conservation land in southern Washington that will one day become an ecologically sustainable village. And let me say this too. I can also kind of see a side of this where, oh, okay, it's like, oh, it's a loved one and you plant them with a tree. Like, that's kind of a cool idea. You know, I get that. Let me make that point too, okay? Like, I kind of see that. You know, it's like, oh, I could see that. I could see the appeal of that. Maybe not a tree that you're going to eat anything from, you know, but I don't know, something, you know, sure, maybe that. But I'm just saying where we go from here. You see what I'm saying? What's the slippery slope? There's always the slippery slope, you know? While Recompost is not yet up and running, the company is aiming for a $5,500 price tag for its natural organic reduction services, while a green burial in the state of Washington averages around $6,000. Cremation can range anywhere from $1,000 to $7,000, and a conventional burial in a cemetery can set you back at least $8,000. The idea may seem outlandish or uncomfortable to some, but Recompost is more than just a pipe dream. As an architecture student, Spade first became interested in the funeral industry back in 2012. She quickly delved into the idea of environmentally sustainable, urban-focused method of disposition of the dead. after seeking a lack of environmental ethic in both the cremation and burial industries. In 2014, Spade's idea took a turn toward reality when she received the Echoing Green Climate Fellowship. With the funding that followed, she founded the nonprofit Urban Death Project, funded by the Green Climate Fellowship, of course, and began working with soil science researchers, law professionals, and those in the funeral industry to lay the groundwork for a revolutionary system of death care the world had never seen. Over the next few years, Spade continued to work on securing over $90,000 via a Kickstarter campaign for this. Wow. There you go, guys. Very interesting stuff, I must say. All right, this is pretty interesting stuff. Going back to some YouTube shenanigans. YouTube and artificial growth. I'll just kind of like let the video play and speak for itself here.
Without the help of the people who helped in this entire thing, this wouldn't even be possible. If Nicholas Diorio, if Bo Blacks, if Josh Pescator, all of you did not come forward and help me in some way, shape, or form with this video, guys, I don't know. I don't know if this would even be possible. So many of you are probably aware of me posting on Twitter pretty late last night about a McJuggernuggets tweet that was later deleted, talking about some HTML code on videos on YouTube where you could essentially see something called your P-score here on YouTube. And you could also see a video's content rating. Well, guys, that's not it. We've dug a little bit further into this whole thing, and it goes much, much deeper. The rabbit hole, this thing tunnels pretty deep. So first and foremost, I would like to bring to your attention a 14-page Google Docs document that I have created.
This Janelle girl got 1 million subscribers in days, 1.4 million in days. YouTube is now putting together systems to make sure that you can't monitor the subscriber count. Also, unironically, on July 23rd, when Memeology started posting his videos about YouTube managing artificial growth on their channels, you'll notice that Janelle's channel went from rocket-sized growth to dropping down substantially. It's like 2,000 subscribers a day.
Okay, so I'm just gonna let the GoPro charge for a little bit because it died while I was filming. But I noticed that when I got back, there are a pair of scissors under my hood that are not mine. I don't know if someone's like messing with the van or something. Hello. What the heck?
One more question's come in. Quite a broad one. Who are you? Which could be that you introduce yourself. faith that you introduce yourself.
I'm an actress for you too.
I'd love to know kind of if you could walk me through what the experience was of. It looked like initially you got kind of like 200,000 views on your first video. The second video goes up, it gets some traction, and then something happens.
Yeah. I don't really know what happened. And I didn't really realize how fast my channel was growing because, as we talked about earlier, I'm just kind of not like on my phone or like I'm kind of off grid from the internet most of the time. So I'm like out hiking or surfing and I'll just come back and people are emailing me and texting me that your channel is blowing up. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm so stoked to have like 10,000 subscribers. And they're like, no. It's a lot more than that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Why? And then I just look at what other people are saying and I'm like, okay, this is big. This is bigger than what I thought.
When did you first notice that you were blowing up and what did it feel like?
I think right after I posted my second video, I kind of like went off grid and came back and saw all these messages from like friends and family, like, you're blowing up. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I have like 20,000 subscribers. I'm so stoked. And they're like, no. It's bigger than that. I'm like, what do you mean? And then at that point, I just was kind of shocked and I'll just come back and saw all these people are emailing me and texting me that your channel is blowing up. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm so stoked to have like 10,000 subscribers. And they're like, no. It's a lot more than that.
There we go. We get the point. We know that YouTube definitely plays its favorites. There is something I saw this week. I didn't post it yet because it hadn't fully developed. It's just something I saw someone talking about online. And they said that Susan from YouTube, apparently she posted something where she's saying that now that all the children's channels are basically being wiped out from YouTube, all that money is going away from YouTube, that they're thinking about including edgy material back in, that they're thinking about being a little bit more lenient towards edgier material. So, right. So, I'm doing a show tomorrow at 2 p.m. I posted it earlier. I hope you guys can join. We'll talk about this December 10th thing and where we go from here. I'll just say this, though, for the record, that I don't worry about it. It's good to be prepared, though, no matter what, for everything. But I don't worry. I pray about this stuff. I believe it's in God's hands. And if he ever lets this get taken away, then I know he'll have, something else set up. There'll be another place to go. So anyway, don't worry about that. But there you go. YouTube's shenanigans. Here's something I wanted to show you guys. This is what I was kind of hinting at earlier. It's a new TV show coming out on Netflix called Messiah. I think it speaks for itself. Check this out.
He's come out of nowhere and we don't know who he is.
What do we know about him?
He's leading desperate people.
So this is a cult?
We don't know who he's associated with. He could be creating an army. Or he could be leading them to their death.
What are you doing?
This will be a show that I'm sure I'll do a video on, but look at this. His first appearance when he first turns around. Significant. Right in front of Osiris's penis, right in front of the Washington Monument, which sits purposefully in front of a reflecting pool, which is the as above, so below. And this is the first appearance of the Messiah. So, and he's in red. So I don't know if they'll make him like really an anti-type Messiah or the actual Messiah or a con man. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, that's something I noticed just from the trailer.
What are you doing in Syria? Delivering a message. A message for whom? My father. And who is your father? We've lost him.
What do you mean?
He just disappears.
No one just disappears.
We all witnessed a miracle.
He saved my daughter's life.
You need to see this.
Bury it for as long as you can. He didn't just click his heels and end up here. He clearly had help. You get around Syria, Israel, Texas.
It's the nature of my work.
And what is that work?
God's work.
Who do you think he is?
You didn't see what I saw.
And if I did, would I be calling him the second coming?
How far will this new movement spread? I'm going to find out everything about you.
This is bigger than what you can imagine.
Wow, right? I mean, wow. I'll definitely check it out, and I'm sure I'm going to have some things pop up throughout the whole series that I'll notice. Pretty interesting. The A's of the pyramid. All right. His first intro in the trailer is in front of Osiris's wiener. Not to be funny, but it's true. And we'll see. We shall see. What's interesting is a lot of the programming I've shown throughout the years in media, I'm not saying necessarily this is the case, but maybe. But a lot of the program we've covered, we've noticed that stuff shows up a few years later. We've seen that for 10 years now here on YouTube. And it's interesting to think that, we're seeing a lot of, or not a lot of, we're seeing this right here. I haven't seen any other movies or TV shows lately about the Messiah or the Second Coming. I know there's scattered out, here and there. There might be some, but nothing major. Maybe we'll start seeing more about this topic. Maybe that means that the time's coming, closer. I don't know. Britain's first transgender couple to allow their 5-year-old child to begin transitioning. Just a headline. It's a bummer. This one's pretty intense here. This is, check this out. This is a pastor that actually went out and fought back. And again, when we talk about fighting back against the system and actually doing something, I think these are good examples. It's never violent. It's never hateful. It's never mean. Definitely never putting hands on anybody. Nothing like that. But just kind of watch the way this guy does it. It's pretty interesting. We'll check this out. Let me see if... here we go.
When you stand before God and you're judged for your sins. This is the end, like for us. We invite you to stay if you want and have some pictures taken with Adriana.
Or if you have any more questions.
Yeah, that you were being too shy to ask. I'll tell.
I could ask him.
I have a question. Yes. What are you going to do when you stand before God and He judges you, everyone in here, for your sins? Sorry. What are you going to do when you stand before God and you're judged for your sins?
What are you going to do?
Because the Bible says this. But if anyone causes one of my little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better that a large millstone be hung around their neck and they be drowned in the depths of the sea. So this is child abuse to God. And you're going to stand before Holy God. And He's going to tell you, what are you going to do when you stand before God and question His mind? What are you going to do next? God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him will not perish but have everlasting life. Perish means to go to hell. Little kids need to believe in Jesus Christ. The Bible says, suffer not these little ones to come unto me. These little ones need to be raised up in the Lord. These little ones need to be raised up in the knowledge of Jesus Christ. Because there's going to come a day when every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord to the glory of the Father. The Bible says that men are men and women are women. And men should dress like women and women should dress like men. This is sin. And the Bible says that the wages of sin are death. I'm here to tell you today that you all are heading for spiritual punishment if you don't turn from the wicked ways and repent. The Lord has sent me here today to tell you to turn from your wicked ways and repent. Or you will stand before God Child abusers will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. Will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. Homosexuals will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. Lesbians will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. Adulterers will not inherit the kingdom of heaven.
In the name of the Bible, you have taught my children hate.
And you're polluting their minds with your sin. Look how you dress. You think this is the appropriate way to dress in front of a child? I'm covered. You are dressed like a whore in front of children. Are you teaching children to be whores? Are you teaching children to be whores? Is that what you're teaching? What are you trying to teach these kids? What are you trying to teach? Look how you're dressed. Look how you're dressed. Look how you're dressed. If a woman dressed like this, you're not a woman, but you're a man, sir. Sir, you're a man. You are a man,
For the purpose of entertainment today, I am a woman.
Sir, you are a man, sir. You are a man, sir. You have male genitalia and you are a man.
I would like to
and you need to teach these kids about God. You need to teach these kids about God, and you need to repent. And everyone here that brought their children here needs to repent, because the Bible says that every knee will bow and every God wants to hear. God wants to hear. He doesn't. That every knee will bow.
So, police are on their way.
Okay, that's
good. Stop.
Community center?
This is, but it's actually
It's a police center, but it's a private event. He's paid to rent it.
So once again,
so the cops are coming because this is not open to the public. It's a private event.
Let them come. The Bible says this: God so loved the world. That whoever believes in Him will not. Gospel of Jesus Christ.
A man stripping like a woman.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, and
Amen.
told her, this is not good.
This is not good. If anyone doesn't come with the gospel of Jesus Christ, let that man be accursed. The Bible says, that he don't even invite that man into your house. Don't even bid him Godspeed, because he who bids him Godspeed is a partaker of the evil deeds. It's okay, because the Bible says every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. So one day you're gonna have to stand before God, and now your blood is off my hands. You've been warned. Repent. 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 God, it doesn't matter if you believe. The Bible says every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. And the Bible says that everyone believes in God. You just suppress the truth in unrighteousness because you're unholy and you're unrighteous. And you have a hardened heart.
Here we go. I just want to share some of that. Fairly intense. And speaking of intense, Chubbs, seriously, stop. Sorry, guys. He's seriously getting a little reckless now. Let's see, hold on 1 second. Hold on, buddy. Come here. Okay, thanks, guys. Sorry. I have hardwood floors, and he had my remote control, one of the remotes down there, and he was playing with it on the floor, sliding it around. Little jerk. Here's a new term for you: sologamy. A biblical response to Lizzo saying she's her own soulmate, and the growing idea of sologamy. Oh, also, guys, I want to say real quick, while I'm doing these shows in particular, I can't see the chat, and I forget that I have a super chat on there. I just added that over the last few weeks. So you forgive me if I can't shout you out, if you send any super chat or anything, but I believe it stays up at the top. So at the end of the show, I always go back to the chat room, and then I can see it, and I'll be able to say thanks and everything else. So just thanks, okay? If anybody's out there doing that, thank you so much. All right, I appreciate it. And anyway, let's read some of this here. Chubbs, you guys hear him? He might talk to us tonight. In 1955, Frank Sinatra told us we can't have love without marriage, but now it's 2019 and Liza was saying she's her own soulmate. The New York Times published an opinion column Monday exploring whether someone could not only be single, but actually be their own soulmate, a step toward a little-known practice called sologamy. Brandley Onishi, who wrote the column, had a lot of good things to say about soulmates, which may or not exist, though 2/3 of Americans still hold out hope. And what people should be looking for romantic partners, someone who will join you on the lifelong journey of growth. But in making the case for why someone could be their own soulmate, Onishi argued the necessity of finding the one has gone by the wayside, citing the fact marriage is deemed no longer culturally needed for personal advancement. He referenced Stephanie Kuntz's 2005 book, Marriage: A History, in which the author explained that in the 19th century, the rising market economy emphasized distinctions between men and women. The former were breadwinners who worked long hours, and the latter were involved in unpaid domestic work, maintaining a home and raising children. Marriage, Kuntz explained, brought together those two disparate halves, creating a perfect, well-rounded whole. Anyway, whatever. More goofiness. Just another example of kind of the loss of love and how twisted everybody's views on love is becoming. China set to write UN text standard as video surfaces of Chinese police interrogation over social media posts. This is some seriously creepy stuff right here, man. A recent report has revealed that Chinese tech groups are writing United Nations facial recognition standards. As of today, China has reportedly implemented mandatory face scans for mobile phone users. Man, that's crazy. Mandatory face scans for mobile phone users. To obtain a phone number, customers have to record themselves turning their head and blinking, providing China with a scan of the user's face. China has been using facial recognition to police its population in a variety of ways, including preventing citizens with a bad social credit score from using public transportation or flying on planes. A reported 2.5 million discredited entities, quote-unquote, discredited entities, were prevented from purchasing plane tickets and 90,000 people from buying high-speed train tickets in the month of July alone. China also recently began using facial recognition for payment. The new payment method, combined with China's dystopian social credit score, may lock dissenters out of the economy. Chinese citizens will also be forced to pass a facial recognition test that runs them through their social credit score database before being allowed to use the internet. Oof. Let me just let that sink in for a second. Chinese citizens that speak out against the government in any way, even making comments on social media, are subject to arrest and imprisonment. Serious dissenters may even be subject to death via China's mobile execution vans, where organs are harvested and sold. Okay, mobile execution vans. I'll have to come back to that one. Let's go and read a little bit here. China's high-tech death van where criminals are executed and then their organs are sold in the black market. This is from March 2009. Death will come soon for Zhang Yang, a corrupt local planning official with a taste for the high life, solicited money from businessmen eager to expand in China's economic boom. Showering gifts on his mistress, known as Madame Tang, the unmarried official took more than $1 million in bribes from entrepreneurs wanting permission to build skyscrapers on land which had previously been protected from development. But Yang, a portly, bespectacled figure, was caught by the Chinese authorities during a purge on corrupt local officials last year. He confessed and was sentenced to death. China executed 1,715 people last year, so one more death would hardly be remarkable. But there will be nothing ordinary about this death by lethal injection. Unless he wins an appeal, he will draw his final breath strapped inside a vehicle that has been specially developed to make executions more cost-effective and efficient. Wow, and there it is. Any other pictures? Oh, that's the German version of this same thing, it seems. Well, that's some scary stuff. Meet Jason Vukovich, American vigilante. Alaskan, currently doing 23 years in prison after targeting pedos. He's almost 2 years into a 23-year sentence for his brand of vigilante justice against pedos. Technically, he was imprisoned for a string of assault and robbery charges, which all happen to be against those who sexually abuse children. A man has been in prison for 23 years after numerous assault and robbery charges, which many believe were in relation to vigilante action and dealing extrajudicial punishment to pedos. Jason Vukovic, 43, was in prison for 23 years, February 2018, for a string of assault and robbery charges. It was later revealed, however, that all of his victims were pedos. He believed himself to be a, quote, avenging angel seeking justice, unquote, but won't be released on parole until serving at least 6 years. He was also a victim of sexual abuse at the hands of his stepfather when he was a child, so he takes full responsibility for his actions and signals that his crime spree, in spite of the nature of the victims, was not worth the punishment. All the crimes took place during a 5-day rampage where he used his state's local sex offender registry list to hunt pedos in June of 2016. One of the victims was reported knocked out with a hammer and had his truck and laptop stolen. This is like a movie. According to prosecutors, Vukovic had managed to gain access to a list of pedos on a notebook, including some of the victims of his rampage. Wow. You guys seen this? KFC accidentally revealed the top secret recipe for its fried chicken. Somebody updated this, so I saw it just this past week, but this is one of the older versions. This is the first, when it first came out back in 2016, when it was originally leaked. And you can see the picture here. And they wrote it out right there. I'm going to try it, but I guess the trick is you have to have a fryer. They used to use a pressure cooker at KFC, but now I think it's a fryer. But anyway, some of the people I've seen doing this have been using fryers to do this. I don't have a fryer. But anyway, there you go, man. If you want to know the secret, KFC secrets. Been out for a little while. Okay, granted, but it's new to me. I'm going to try it. But I got to get a fryer. Real pastor holds church in virtual reality, baptizes anime girl. Pastor DJ Soto is the subject of a new video from YouTuber Seymour, and the whole process is equal parts earnest and absurd. Soto describes his VR ministry as allowing disadvantaged people, from folks in wheelchairs to recovering addicts, to attend church without the judgment that sometimes comes from traditional congregations. Fellow YouTuber Drumsy, appearing in VR chat as a busty, pink-haired anime girl in a pastel suit, undergoes a digital baptism by crouching underwater for a few seconds, as Soto describes the symbolism of the ceremony. You can see Drumsy's own perspective on the baptism on YouTube, or see Seymour's full video below. After the baptism, a banana hugs Drumsy. A tiny cat asks how Drumsy feels. I feel like I'm out of breath. I feel like I just had an experience. Then SpongeBob hops into the baptism pool, soaks up all the water, and runs away. Seems legit.
On the prowl again.
This is a new cuck commercial from KFC's barbecue bacon stacker. Again, I have no issues with interracial marriage. That's not what this is about. This is more of that programming, cucking of the white man, kind of trying to turn white against black, black versus white. And just want to get that out there first, just so you know, all right? Don't want any nasty letters. Nobody writes letters anymore. But here you go.
Did someone say KFC? I don't care.
I mean, that's programming. That's just a quick little bit of programming right there,
Here's a likely couple. Oh no.
It's the cuckening. There's a is it 7-Up? 7-Up commercial. Let me see if I can find it. It's an example of what I'm trying to explain here. It's 7-Up commercial, and there's a rapper. Seven Up commercial with the rapper. Bear with me. Is it really this hard to find anything on YouTube now? It really is, isn't it? Come on. Anyway, in this commercial, it's a white couple on a cruise together. And I think they open up a 7-Up, and all of a sudden a rapper shows up and the lady is in his lap. And then the white guy is sitting on a chair by himself, kind of off to the side. But in front of them are a couple of flamingos. I think they're ice flamingos or something, maybe. But the flamingo in front of the couple now, the black man and the white lady, is standing straight up erect. And the flamingo in front of the white guy is tilted, down. Flaccid, I guess you could say. But of course I can't find it now. So there you go. But I did find this. What do you think about this, guys? Christmas is right around the corner. I know we all like to be a little bit different when we get our gifts for the people we care about. So this might be something worth looking into. Look at that. It's a real thing. Redneck boot sandals, they're called. There you go. I could not even imagine. But, there's people out there that probably like something like that. If you've got a lot of extra money laying around and don't really care how you spend it, that might be something fun to get somebody that you don't care about. There's this whole thing with the Queen. Have you guys heard this first there's the Ruth Bader Ginsburg. A lot of people out there believe that she's been passed away for a long time now. I'm kind of in that camp too, and the reason why is because Fox News kind of leaked that out. This is several months back. Do you guys remember they ran a story about her passing? It was on the ticker tape underneath the news and all that, and it was a big deal. Then all of a sudden, after I think just a couple hours, they took that down, and you didn't hear anything else about it, and no one's seen her in public since. There have been some news stories about her, but it's all running archival footage, so makes you wonder. I don't know. Maybe she is. And the whole thing is the reason why they haven't released it yet. It has to do with, of course, the political fighting and some kind of political games. There's that. And there's also this whole thing with the Queen. A lot of people think that the Queen is gone and has been gone now for a little while. And all you've been seeing now is her body doubles. So here's a new one. The Queen looks in good health as she leaves Windsor Castle for Buckingham Palace after trolls spread vile rumors that she had passed. Passed. And this apparently is, this is the one they say is from today. And a lot of people are saying that they think that's one of her body doubles. That's from November 26th. I don't know. It's like that game. Can you spot the difference in the pictures? It's always like little subtle differences. Oh, well. There you go. Check this out. In just 26 seconds, pretty much says it all. This is new. 60 Minutes just did a story on YouTube, and I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but just check this little clip out.
She told us that earlier this year, YouTube started reprogramming its algorithms in the U.S. to recommend questionable videos much less, and point users who search for that kind of material to authoritative sources like news clips. With these changes, Wojcicki says they have cut down the amount of time Americans watch controversial content by 70%. She told us that earlier this year, YouTube started
Yep, by
reprogramming its
70%.
algorithms
Controversial
to
content.
recommend questionable.
Anyway, there you go. We know that. We see it. We see what they've done and how it's changed. But, hey, again, I try not to always focus on that stuff. We have to talk about it. We got to get it out there. But being on the platform at the same time, I don't want to. It's hard not to feel that you're in conflict with it, but I don't want to have that kind of energy with it. I want to still look at it like, hey, I'm still here. It's still a platform where I can, still reach people. I can still put my stuff out there, my art, my work, my spiritual work, everything else, so I try to look at the positive of it, but still, man, it's like, there it is. There it is. No hiding it. FDA amps up big pharma protection racket by attacking the CBD industry. It was just a matter of time. Claiming natural cannabinoids are unapproved drugs, even though hemp existed for thousands of years before the FDA was even founded in 1906. I think that pretty much says it all. In a press announcement, the FDA indicated that it recently issued warnings to 15 different companies for, quote, illegally selling products containing cannabis oil, or CBD, a perfectly harmless and highly beneficial constituent of the cannabis plant that's helping millions of people and their pets find truly safe and effective relief from an array of health problems. Man, that's what I didn't do tonight. A few weeks ago, I got some hemp oil for Chubbs, and it comes in like a little squeeze tube thing or whatever. You pull it out of the squeeze tube. You can put however much in there you want. And he's not crazy about taking it in. I've only done it a couple times, but it really mellows him out. And I didn't do it tonight. I need to start doing that more for the live shows, but that stuff really works on him. I can see a difference, Anyway, I don't want to get into the whole story, but there we have it. We knew it was just a matter of time before they'd come after the good stuff. Forbes calls for recognition of Christian persecution as global problem. That's good news. Emilia Clarke joins list of actresses upset by nudity and sex scenes. Thought this was a good article. What happens on the big screen doesn't always stay on the big screen. I've always kind of wondered about this stuff too. What are the actresses really thinking about some of the stuff they got to do when it comes to nudity, on screen? Actress Emilia Clarke, who rose to fame after starring in HBO's Game of Thrones, recently revealed that she was pressured to film scenes naked for the show. She's not alone. Actresses from Evangeline Lilly to Jennifer Lawrence have admitted to either crying or drinking in response to filming scenes with little to no clothing. Speaking on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, the 33-year-old, there's that 33, the 33-year-old expressed her disbelief when she first landed the role of Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones, which premiered in 2011. Obviously, I took the job, she said in the podcast released late November. They sent me the scripts and I was reading them and I was like, oh, there's the catch. But finding out about the show's nudity didn't stop her. Right out of drama school, she decided to approach this as a job and believed that if it's in the script, then it's clearly needed. But when she actually began filming the first season, which had a F-ton of nudity, she says, she felt a bit differently. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what any of this is. I've never been on a film set like this before, she remembered. And now I'm on a film set completely naked with all of these people. She would dismiss her feelings, have a cry in the bathroom, and then return to filming. That's when a co-star, Jason Momoa, stepped in. Momoa plays Khal Drogo, who rapes Daenerys after she's sold into marriage with him. Later in the show, she develops feelings for him. The scenes, when I got to do them with Jason, were wonderful because he was like, no, sweetie, this is not okay. And I'm like, oh, Clarke said. She acknowledged that filming nude is terrifying and that during the rape scenes, Momoa was even crying more than she was. A more experienced actor, Momoa knew more about what should and shouldn't happen on set. She said, he was always like, can we get her a effing robe? She's shivering, like it was a lot of that. Today, she says she's a lot more savvy about what she's comfortable with. I've had fights on set before where I'm like, no, sheet stays up, she said, and they're like, you don't want to disappoint your Game of Thrones fans. And I'm like, F you. Later on in the show, when she filmed nude for the last time, she said she agreed. This is mine. They've asked me to do it. And you know what? I'm effing game. But even then, she said, it brings into question the thing of what is it like being under the gaze of people you'll never meet? Sadly, Clark joins a long list of actresses who have felt similarly. In 2018, actress Evangeline Lilly likewise revealed during a podcast that she was pressured to film nude during Lost. I'd had a bad experience on set with being basically cornered into doing a scene partially naked, and I felt I had no choice in the matter, she recalled, and I was mortified and I was trembling, and when it was finished, I was crying my eyes out. She added during a UK interview that same year that she drank to survive the role in general. She said it was terrifying. It really effed me up, and am I allowed to say that? I drank a lot to get through it. I didn't sleep a lot, all alone in a totally different culture in a different country. According to a 2016 Maxim piece, other celebrities have admitted to drinking while filming sex scenes, including Jennifer Lawrence, Lizzie Kaplan, and Keira Knightley. Others responded in different ways. While filming a scene in Easy A, Emma Stone said she experienced an asthma attack while Reese Witherspoon and Wilde had a panic attack. Both Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman found their Black Swan sex scene uncomfortable. Titanic star Kate Winslet called one nude scene sort of unethical. And following a sex scene in Spring Breakers, Vanessa Hudgens decided she never wanted to film something like that again. In 2017, Salma Hayek wrote in the New York Times about being forced into a sex scene with another actress by Harvey Weinstein. Going as far back as 2000, one New York Times Magazine piece explored the pressure to take it off and reported on actresses discussing their mixed feelings on nudity. Actress Rosie Perez remembered her first time getting naked on camera came while filming Do the Right Thing. It wasn't really about taking off my clothes, but I also didn't feel good about it because the atmosphere wasn't correct, she said. And when Spike Lee puts ice cubes on my nipples, the reason you don't see my head is because I'm crying. Every actress in the end makes choices regarding what she will or will not film. At the same time, Americans should remain aware of how young women can be pressured or manipulated by Hollywood and support films that value actresses not as mere sexual objects, but as human persons. It's a good article. It's from Katie Yoder at townhall.com. I thought that was a good article. Don't be mad at me. I thought it was a good one. Cenk Uygur, Young Turks host, now running for Katie Hill's vacant House seat, says he would legalize in intercourse with animals. You got to see this for yourself. Talk about cringe. You think that creepy Uncle Joe stuff was cringe earlier? I'll wait till you set your eyeballs upon this. Let me find the clip. Okay, here it is. Okay, buckle up.
Jaywalking bestiality. Like, yeah, it might technically be a crime, but let's not waste the court's time on jaywalking.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, fair enough.
But here comes the controversial part, the part I shouldn't say. I believe that if I were the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize.
Remember this. One of President Trump's first promises when he took office was to.
If I were the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize bestiality where you are giving. You are pleasuring the animal. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Why? Why did that happen? It's the dumbest thing I've said.
It really is the dumbest thing you said.
No, I'll tell you why. Because was the case that we covered where there was like a guy or a girl or something that was pleasuring a horse, and the horse came to a conclusion, right? So who got harmed?
You know that people who are, okay, look, not to be a downer about what you're saying, because what you're saying sounds kind of funny, but a lot of people who are being raped can actually have an orgasm. So if a guy is being raped, he can have an orgasm. Like you can't say, if you come, that means you wanted it. That's not the right way to go.
But number one, you're being an unbelievable downer.
I am, but that's the truth.
Number two, they're not both humans. Number three, I mean, if you really ask the horse, did you mind? The answer's got to be, no. Do you see what I'm saying? No.
Anyway, it's about enough of that I can handle. Google and YouTube taking down over 300 Trump ads. Well, I guess that's not a big surprise. So we heard about this here on the show. We've been showing some stories on that over the last year. They've been kind of getting set up for this new wave of censorship, and it seems that that's maybe this is one of the first waves coming through here. Photographer captures amazing light pillars phenomenon in North Bay, Ontario. Said it looked like someone from Star Trek was trying to beam people up. That is a pretty picture. I wish I could have found a bigger one, but cool, eh? That is just the crystals. There's different types of light beams. I've shown some here on the channel. There's a distinction. Again, we always have to make that distinction, you know, but there are light beams I've shown on here that aren't these things, and they're manifesting all over the world. I'm sure you've seen them. And I haven't done one of those videos in a long time, but look back on the channel. There's a few on there from many years ago. There for a while, there's a lot of sightings of these big, massive, pure white beams shooting down out of the sky and landing in random locations. There's a really good one in Sweden, I think, if you want to look that up. So now even the FBI is warning you about your smart TVs. If you just bought a smart TV on Black Friday or plan to buy one for Cyber Monday tomorrow, the FBI warns you not to do that, or warns the FBI wants you to know a few things. Smart TVs are like regular television sets, but with internet connection. With the advent and growth of Netflix, Hulu, and other streaming services, most saw internet-connected televisions as a cord cutter's dream. But like anything that connects to the internet, it opens up smart TVs to security vulnerabilities and hackers. Not only that, many smart TVs come with a camera and a microphone. But as is the case with most internet-connected devices, manufacturers often don't put security as a priority. That's the key takeaway from the FBI's Portland field office, which just ahead of some of the biggest shopping days of the year posted a warning on its website about the risks that smart TVs pose. It says, beyond the risk that your TV manufacturer and app developers may be listening and watching you, that television can also be a gateway for hackers to come into your home. A bad cyber actor may not be able to access your lockdown computer directly, but it is possible that your unsecured TV can give him or her an easy way in the back door through your router. Church of Sweden unveils altarpiece of paradise featuring gay couples and transgender serpent. There's that. But more of that manifesting. Again, this is a part of that system that's coming in. Oof. This is another picture from the artist. They say the artist. This will probably be going in a video soon. Some more on this, but wow. Pope Francis declares that Christian fundamentalists are a scourge. Beware of the fundamentalist groups. Everyone has his own. In Argentina, too, there is a little fundamentalist corner. And let us try with fraternity to go forward. Fundamentalism is a scourge, and all religions have some kind of fundamentalist first cousin there, which forms a group, he said. It says there aren't any Muslim fundamentalists or Hindu fundamentalists in Argentina. The fundamentalists that he was referring to are the Christian fundamentalists in Argentina. And in the very next sentence, he denounced such people as a scourge. Scourge. So what is a Christian fundamentalist? It's basically someone that believes the Bible is literally true, that believes that Jesus Christ died for our sins and rose again, and that believes that Jesus is coming back someday. In other words, the Pope considers millions upon millions of American Christians to be a plague that is infecting our planet. Now you're starting to see the real dividing line between the sheep and the goats, the wheat and the tares. You know, he's talking about us, right? He's talking about us. The people that are going to see through the delusion and the illusions. U.S. Homeland Security now proposing face scans for citizens. Yep, we just saw the story about China. Look how fast this is happening now. I don't think it's an accident. The Trump administration intends to propose a regulation next year that would require all travelers, including U.S. citizens, to be photographed when entering or leaving the United States, according to the administration's regulatory agenda. The proposed regulation, slated to be issued in July by the Homeland Security Department, would be July. It's from December 2nd, 2019. Okay, so this coming summer. The proposed regulations slated to be issued in July by Homeland Security Department would be part of a broader system to track travelers as they enter and exit the U.S. Oof. It's a matter of time, right? Everyone thought this would happen under Obama. The plan has already drawn opposition from some privacy advocates. Jay Stanley, a senior policy analyst with the ACLU, that's a surprise, blasted the idea in a written statement on Monday. Travelers, including U.S. citizens, should not have to submit to invasive biometric scans simply as a condition of exercising their constitutional right to travel. The Trump administration contends in its regulatory agenda that the face scan requirement will combat the fraudulent use of U.S. travel documents and aid the identification of criminals and suspected terrorists. The public typically has 30 to 60 days to comment on a proposed U.S. regulation. The federal agency that then needs to review and respond to comments, a process that can be time-consuming for major regulations. The Trump administration also said in its regulatory agenda that it plans to issue a separate fast-track regulation this month that would allow the entry-exit project to move beyond a pilot status. All right. I don't like it. I'll just say that. And on that note, that is my last story. So, let me jump over to the chat real quick, like.
I'll just say that. Show.
And let me jump back over here. Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks once again for being here, everybody. I appreciate you. Big shout out to the moderators as well. I hope you all had a good time tonight. I enjoy doing these. I really do. I'm doing another show tomorrow, as I said. If you can tune in live, that'd be great. 2 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. We're going to discuss some of the changes on YouTube, and I'm going to leave all my links of where you can find me, just in case anything ever happens, just in case. Again, I put that in God's hands. I pray about it, so I don't worry about it. But on that note, just let me leave us just with a quick prayer, if you don't mind, guys. I always like to do that. It helps me to keep things in perspective. And I'll say, Heavenly Father, thanks once again for tonight, and for the fact we could all come together, hang out, look over some of the crazy stuff happening in this world, question some things, try to put some things together, and all of it really just waiting on the return. So, Father, thanks for being with us in spirit, and for all those people out there still in fear, Father, I pray you guide them from that. Take that fear away from them, Lord. Please lift that from them, and that's for all of us, even for myself. We all fall into these kind of fearful moments at times, but just thanks again for being with all of us, Lord. Keep us all positive. And thanks again for these wonderful people. I love you, and in Jesus' name I pray, amen. Guys, thanks again. I appreciate you, man. I've got a lot of stuff coming. If you didn't know, I just dropped a couple little hints here and there, but I'm working on the scariest movie ever made, part 2. I made the first one over 10 years ago. It's the first thing I ever did as far as this kind of community goes. That was my introduction to the internet and everything, So that's when I first showed up, was over 10 years ago with that movie. It's still up in different places online. It's been up and down from all kinds of places. But now, over 10 years later, there's a lot to catch up on. We've definitely come a long way since I made that. So I'll be dropping the new one. The plan is on January 1st, 2020. So be looking out for that. So I've been hard at work at that, still working on my other videos. I've got one on some new movies I've seen recently I want to put up here in the next few days, and some shows. And that's all, guys. Much love to you. Take care of yourselves out there. And we'll talk to you real soon.